What if I told you that you are currently living inside just one single timeline, but it's not the only one available to you? And what if, right now, in this very moment, all around you, infinite parallel versions of your reality are vibrating just out of sight, just beyond your current perception? These aren't just fantasies, they are real, energetic potentials, patiently waiting to be collapsed into your lived experience. And yet, so many of us remain unknowingly locked inside a single, repeating loop, living out the same old patterns, getting the same familiar results, and feeling the same gnawing frustrations, all while wondering why nothing ever truly changes, even though we so desperately, achingly want more. Well, today, my friends, we're going to shatter that illusion. What if you aren't stuck because of fate, or destiny, or some cosmic bad luck? What if you are simply stuck because your entire system, your mind, your body, your emotions, your very frequency, is still unconsciously, habitually attuned to the old timeline? And what if learning to change that frequency is the true key to unlocking a completely new reality? Let's be very clear from the outset. You are not stuck because of some predetermined fate written in the stars. You are not a victim of bad luck. You are, quite simply, in a vibrational holding pattern, because your entire system, your mind, your body, your emotional default settings, your energetic frequency, is still powerfully, habitually attuned to the old timeline, the one you say you want to leave behind. You can't break free from this loop simply by wishing for it. You can't escape it by trying to force change through sheer willpower. And you certainly can't trick the responsive, intelligent quantum field by simply pretending you feel something you don't. A true quantum shift isn't about manifesting harder or visualizing with more intensity. It's about consciously, deliberately stepping into a new state of being so completely, so coherently, from your head to your heart to your very cells, that the quantum field, which is simply a mirror to your energy, has no other choice but to reflect back to you a different, more aligned reality. Let me explain this a little more deeply. Most people have been told that manifestation is primarily about desire, about wanting something so badly, so passionately, that the universe, like a cosmic delivery service, eventually brings it to your door. But here's the profound truth that often gets left out of the conversation: desire alone, in the quantum realm, does practically nothing. The field doesn't respond to how badly you want change. It responds with flawless precision to how closely you are aligned with the vibrational frequency of that change having already happened. This means that right now, even if you are diligently saying all the right affirmations, creating beautiful vision boards, and spending hours doing detailed visualizations, you might still, on a much deeper level, be broadcasting the energetic signal of the old, unwanted timeline. How is this possible? Because beneath the surface of your conscious intentions, your body is often still wired for the familiar. Even if the familiar is painful, your nervous system may be biochemically addicted to the old emotional loops of anxiety, frustration, or disappointment, and your powerful subconscious mind, the great broadcaster of your being, may still be transmitting old, ingrained patterns of fear, of doubt, of unworthiness, of scarcity. All of this can be happening even while your conscious mind is shouting with all its might, I want abundance, I want true love, I want vibrant health and success. And here's the part that can be truly shocking to realize. The quantum field listens to your dominant signal, not necessarily your loudest, most consciously projected one. Let that profound idea really land for a moment. The dominant signal, your true point of attraction, comes from your full system vibration. It's not just what you think, it's what you feel in your body, what you subconsciously expect to happen, what you embody in your moment-to-moment existence. That's precisely why you can repeat the affirmation, I am wealthy, 1,000 times. But if your body physically contracts with anxiety, if your stomach knots up every single time you have to pay a bill, the field primarily picks up on the powerful energetic signal of the contraction, not the hopeful words of the affirmation. That's why you can visualize a loving partnership all day long. But if your heart, due to past hurts, remains energetically armored and emotionally closed, the field primarily registers the vibration of isolation, not the frequency of deep, open connection. This, my friends, is the insidious trap that keeps so many wonderful, well-intentioned people spinning their wheels, stuck in the repetitive loop of their old timeline. They sincerely believe that change starts out there with a change in circumstances, with a new set of actions, with the arrival of tangible results. But the true, lasting quantum shift always begins in here, inside of you. It begins with your state of being, with your energetic coherence, with your vibrational alignment. You must, in essence, learn to become the version of you that already joyfully, peacefully inhabits the desired new timeline, not someday in the future, not when the external evidence finally arrives to give you permission, but right here, right now. And here's where it gets really wonderfully wild. Modern quantum physics, in its own scientific language, is now teaching us what ancient mystics have known for millennia, that all possibilities, every potential reality, exists simultaneously as waves of probability in a vast, energetic field of potential. Every conceivable timeline, every possible version of you, every outcome you could ever dare to imagine, they are all already vibrating, already existing as a potential in the quantum field. When you learn to consciously, deliberately shift your own personal vibration, you're not laboriously creating something from nothing. You are, in effect, simply collapsing into, or aligning with, the version of reality, the timeline, that was patiently waiting for you all along. This is precisely why mystics, inventors, and great spiritual thinkers across time have spoken so reverently about the incredible power of frequency, of numbers, of sacred codes. The brilliant Nikola Tesla famously said, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe." These numbers, and others like them, aren't just magic tricks or superstitious beliefs. They point to the profound truth of universal patterns, of resonant harmonics, and to the deep, underlying reality that our experienced world organizes itself around vibration, around frequency. So, the question we should be asking isn't, how do I get what I want? The real, more powerful question is, who do I need to become, vibrationally, to be in natural, effortless alignment with the timeline where that which I desire already exists? And please hear this, becoming is not pretending, becoming is not faking it till you make it. Becoming is not a surface-level performance. True becoming is a full body, full soul, full system shift into a new state of energetic coherence. This understanding is the true beginning of your quantum shift. You are not here on this earth to endlessly fight against your old, unwanted timeline. You are here to learn how to gracefully, powerfully rise into the vibrational frequency of the new one. But before we can go deeper into the practical how of doing that, I want you to take a moment to pause and reflect on this. With genuine honesty, what version of you, what energetic state has been making most of your choices today? What timeline have you been unconsciously feeding with your precious focus, your invaluable attention, your creative energy, and most importantly, are you truly, deeply ready to let that old version of you go, so that a new, more empowered one can finally, gloriously emerge? Sit with these questions for a moment. Breathe deeply into them. Feel the edges, the resistance they might press against inside of you, because in the next section, we're going to dive into the invisible, often subconscious forces that can keep you seemingly locked in that old, familiar loop. We'll explore the nature of resistance, the power of subconscious patterns, and the deep emotional imprints from the past, and we'll see how they can so often hijack our most sincere, conscious attempts to shift. This is the layer that no one typically warns you about, the part that clearly explains why so many people know the theory of quantum manifestation, but so very few ever truly, deeply experience the profound, life-altering transformation. Are you ready to uncover it? So, let's talk about the real reason people don't consistently, permanently shift their reality. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want change badly enough. And it's definitely not because they're somehow doing manifestation wrong. It's because they are still, on a deep, often unconscious level, energetically entangled with the version of themselves that is perfectly, expertly wired to survive the old timeline. And that old version of you, while perhaps outdated and a source of pain, is also incredibly familiar, and the powerful subconscious mind, as a protective mechanism, almost always loves the familiar, the predictable, more than it loves the uncertainty of progress. The old timeline, you see, doesn't need your conscious permission to keep playing on a loop. It just needs your unconscious, habitual participation. Every single time you react in that same old way to a trigger, every time you tell that same old story of lack or victimhood, every time you subconsciously expect the same disappointing outcome, that energetic signal gets reinforced. It's exactly like a well-worn neural pathway in your brain. The more you walk that path, the deeper, the more defined, the more automatic it gets. And soon, that path becomes so automatic that you're not even consciously choosing your timeline anymore. In a very real sense, It's choosing you. Here's where the fascinating worlds of quantum physics and modern neuroscience intersect in a way that most people, even those interested in manifestation, completely overlook. In the realm of quantum mechanics, the famous observer effect tells us that the simple act of observation, of putting our attention on something, collapses a wave of infinite potential into a single, tangible event, a particle, a choice, a specific reality. But here's the crucial twist that is often missed. You're not just observing reality with your physical eyes. You are constantly, powerfully observing it with your ingrained beliefs, your default emotional states, and your deeply held, often unconscious, expectations. Now, let's add the insights of neuroscience to this. Scientists estimate that as much as 95% of your daily behavior, your reactions, your choices, your habits, is driven by your subconscious mind, the vast storehouse of all your emotional conditioning, your past traumas, your core beliefs, and your fundamental identity patterns. This means that for most of the time, it's not your conscious, deliberate intention that is collapsing the quantum wave into your experienced reality. It's your deep, often hidden, subconscious programming. Let that profound idea really land. You might be consciously trying to manifest a new reality from the 5% of your mind that is awake and aware, all while the other 95% of you is still unconsciously tuned to the old frequencies of fear, of lack, of distrust, and of mere survival. And as we've established, the quantum field always, without fail, responds to the dominant signal. So when people say, manifestation doesn't work for me, what they are often really, unknowingly saying is, I haven't yet learned how to shift the internal observer, the subconscious self, that is consistently, powerfully collapsing my reality into these familiar, unwanted patterns. This is precisely why people get stuck in loops. This is why you can change your job, your partner, or even your city, and still find yourself reliving the same old emotional patterns, the same frustrating scenarios, over and over again, because nothing external, no matter how dramatic the change, has the power to permanently override an internal frequency, an inner observer that hasn't been fundamentally, vibrationally changed. Let me put it another way, perhaps even more directly. The timeline can't truly shift if the observer hasn't shifted first. So, what is it that's so powerfully anchoring you in the old, familiar timeline? Usually, it's a force called resistance. And resistance is incredibly sneaky. It often shows up disguised as other things. It can manifest as chronic overthinking, as persistent procrastination, as a strange emotional numbness, as a frantic need for hyperproductivity, as deep-seated fear masquerading as sound logic, or as that cautious little voice in your head that constantly whispers, "Be realistic." But all these forms of resistance, at their core, always boil down to one fundamental thing. A part of your system, your deep survival brain, genuinely believes that it is safer to stay exactly where you are, even if you consciously hate it, than it is to take the perceived terrifying leap into the vast, uncertain unknown. And that deeply ingrained belief, That powerful programming lives not just in your mind, but in your very body. Stored trauma from past events, years of emotional suppression, even inherited fears passed down through your lineage, they're all energetically coded into your nervous system. That's why you can know something intellectually, but still not be able to live it out in your daily life. That's why positive affirmations can sometimes fall flat. Why powerful visualizations can quickly fade, and why, despite your best efforts, you might keep falling back into the same old self-sabotaging cycles. The resistance isn't just in your mindset, it's literally in your body's chemistry. When your nervous system is consistently dysregulated, operating from a state of fight, flight, or freeze, it is constantly sending a powerful signal of threat out into the quantum field. Even when your conscious mind and your mouth are saying, "I'm ready for change, I'm safe," that profound energetic contradiction, that lack of coherence, keeps collapsing the same limited, survival-based outcomes into your reality. It's not personal, it's just physics. The brilliant Nikola Tesla once again urged us, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This wasn't metaphorical poetry, it was literal, scientific instruction. Your very life is a frequency. Your thoughts, your emotions, the very posture you hold, the rhythm of your breath, they all combine to create a distinct vibrational pattern, a unique energetic signature that either aligns with your desired new timeline or actively, powerfully repels it. This is why so many people throughout history and across cultures have been intuitively magnetized to things like specific numbers, such as 3, 6, 9 or 777, or to the principles of sacred geometry. They intuitively sense that the universe speaks in the language of pattern, that frequencies are not random, but are in fact meticulously, mathematically encoded into the very fabric of reality. You are not just a person navigating a separate life. You are, in essence, a powerful frequency generator, deeply embedded in a vast, responsive energetic field, and for many of us, we've been unconsciously, habitually broadcasting the same old, familiar pattern for so long that we've tragically mistaken that pattern for who we truly are. But here, my friends, is the most empowering, most wonderful good news. You don't have to endlessly fight against that old, ingrained pattern. You just have to consciously, gently, lovingly stop feeding it with your energy and your attention. So let me ask you, with all the compassion in the world, where in your life are you still subconsciously vibrating in fear, while consciously declaring your faith? Where are you still, on an energetic level, bracing for rejection, while simultaneously seeking true love and connection? Where are you still trying to attract abundance into your life, while deep down in your body you feel fundamentally unworthy of it? These are the subtle, yet incredibly powerful, contradictions that so often keep our desired new timelines from fully shifting into our tangible reality. And it is precisely from this place of deep self-awareness that we can begin our practical journey. In the next part of this exploration, we're going to dive into what it actually takes to consciously shift your timelines, not just in theory, not just as a fascinating concept, but in a deeply felt, fully embodied, practical way. You'll learn how to begin aligning your conscious and subconscious minds, how to gently regulate your body and your nervous system into a state of coherence, and how to truly start showing up day by day, moment by moment, as the version of you that already joyfully, peacefully lives inside your new, desired reality. The journey from understanding to embodiment is the most exciting one of all. And it's what we will embark on next. We stand now at the threshold of real transformation. We've explored the science, the energy, and the subconscious layers that define our reality. We understand that to shift timelines, we must shift the observer within. But how do we do that? Not just as a fleeting thought, but as a new way of life. This brings us to the part that most people, in their rush for results, unfortunately never get to, not because the secret is hidden, but because it's so profoundly simple. They often overlook its immense power. Shifting your timeline isn't about trying to bend the quantum field to your will through sheer force or effort. It's about learning to gracefully, powerfully align so completely with a version of you who already lives the reality you desire, that the old timeline, the old energetic signature, simply can no longer contain or hold you. Let's break this down with a simple analogy. Think of the quantum field as a vast, shimmering ocean of infinite possibility. Every conceivable timeline, every potential version of you, every possible outcome you could ever dream of, they all already exist within that boundless ocean. Not as solid realities, but as shimmering waves of potential. When you learn to focus your energy, when you choose what to observe, when you align your entire being, you effectively collapse a particular, chosen wave into tangible form, into your lived experience. But here is the absolute key. You don't collapse that wave by desperately wanting it. You collapse it by vibrationally matching it. And this matching, my friends, isn't just a mental exercise. It's deeply emotional, it's profoundly physical, it's entirely vibrational. It's the unique, coherent way your entire system, your mind, heart, and body hums in perfect harmony. So, why do so many people struggle to consistently match the frequency of their desired new timeline? Because they are trying to get there primarily by thinking about it. They intellectualize the shift. They might say, I know abundance is my birthright. I know true love is possible for me. I know my body can heal. But merely knowing something intellectually, my friends, is not enough to shift your reality. Your body, your very cells, need to know it. Your emotions, your heart, need to feel it as a present reality. Your breath, your posture, your daily habits, your fundamental sense of identity, they all need to begin signaling consistently and coherently. I am now the version of me who belongs in this new, desired timeline. This is where the profound practice of embodiment comes in. Embodiment is not just a trendy buzzword. It is the essential, often missing link in the process of conscious creation. It is the dedicated, daily practice of inhabiting the vibrational frequency of the reality you desire before the external world gives you any tangible permission to do so. Let me give you some living, breathing examples. If you're consciously shifting into an abundance timeline, embodiment might mean learning to spend necessary money with a sense of trust and flow, instead of with that old, familiar panic and contraction. It might mean, when those old scarcity thoughts inevitably arise, that you consciously pause and breathe deeply into your body, reassuring your nervous system that you are safe, instead of spiraling into fear. It might mean showing up to new opportunities with a sense of genuine openness and curiosity, rather than habitually bracing for disappointment. If you're shifting into a love timeline, embodiment might mean consciously softening your heart and your posture in moments when your old conditioning wants you to armor up and shut down. It might mean taking small, courageous emotional risks, like reaching out with kindness instead of withdrawing in a pattern of self-protection. It could mean learning to speak words of genuine affection and appreciation for yourself and others, even if that level of vulnerability feels a little edgy and unfamiliar at first. If you're shifting into a vibrant health timeline, embodiment might mean beginning to treat your body as though it's already healing, as though it is already regenerating with incredible intelligence. It might mean choosing to feed it with deep respect, moving it with a sense of gratitude for all it can do, and allowing it to rest with profound, unconditional love, rather than punishing it or ignoring its signals. Do you see the powerful, underlying pattern here? You don't wait for the external timeline to magically shift before you start living differently. You courageously, consciously start living differently from the inside out, and then the external timeline, in response, inevitably shifts to match your new state of being. This is precisely why so many conventional manifestation efforts ultimately fail. They are, at their core, conditional. I'll feel truly grateful when I get the new job. I'll finally be able to relax when I find the perfect relationship. I'll feel abundant when the money finally arrives in my bank account. But the quantum field, that responsive mirror to your energy, simply doesn't work that way. The field isn't testing you, nor is it punishing you. It is, in every single moment, simply reflecting you, your dominant vibrational state, back to you, and that reflection happens almost instantaneously on an energetic level, not after some arbitrary delay. This is where we can return to the profound wisdom of pioneers like Nikola Tesla and the intuitive understanding of concepts like the 3-6-9 sequence or sacred geometry. These aren't just superstitions or magical thinking. They are potent reminders. They consistently point us back to the fundamental truth that life, that reality itself, organizes itself around the principles of energy, frequency, and vibration, not around brute force or relentless effort. So, the real, transformative work then becomes, can you consciously, deliberately become coherent? Can you, with patient practice, bring your mind, your heart, your body, and your daily actions into a harmonious, resonant alignment, even when nothing in your external, 3D world has tangibly changed yet? Can you learn to hold that new, desired signal long enough, consistently enough, for the corresponding wave of potential to collapse into your experienced reality. Because here's the beautiful paradox that almost no one talks about. The timeline doesn't shift when you finally get tired of waiting for it. The timeline shifts when waiting is no longer a part of your energetic frequency. Pause for a moment. Breathe that truth in. This is the quantum code, the secret that has been hidden in plain sight. The version of you who already has everything you desire isn't waiting for you somewhere off in the distant future. They are vibrating now on a frequency that you can, with practice and intention, begin to access today. The only real question is, will you choose to tune your own energetic dial to it? Before we move forward, take another moment to reflect on this. What would your day, your very next hour, look like if you chose to act, to breathe, and to move as the version of you who is already living in your most desired timeline? What small, subtle choices would change? What ingrained emotional habits would begin to shift? What draining conversations would naturally end? And what inspiring new ones might begin? Remember, this isn't about making grand, dramatic, unsustainable gestures. It's about a series of subtle, yet persistent, moment-to-moment alignments. The practical art of micro-alignment. Now we reach the part of the journey that most people, even those who understand the theory, never quite get to, not because it's inherently difficult or hidden, but because it's so profoundly simple. They often overlook its immense power. Remember, a small act done with a pure, aligned intention can carry far more vibrational weight than a giant, frantic gesture performed from a place of desperation or lack. This is the principle of micro-alignment. Most people think that shifting timelines requires massive, dramatic, life-altering changes, but quantum reality, the field of infinite potential, responds to coherence, not necessarily to the size of the action. Let's break this down into simple, living examples. As we touched upon, if you're shifting toward abundance, your daily micro-alignment practice might simply be taking 3 deep, calming breaths when a scarcity thought arises, consciously choosing to soothe your nervous system instead of spiraling into the old, familiar pattern of fear. It could be the simple act of expressing genuine, heartfelt gratitude for the small resources you do have right now, thereby amplifying the powerful signal of, "I have enough." It might be the conscious choice to spend necessary money with a sense of presence and trust, rather than with that old, familiar clenching of panic or guilt. If you're shifting toward a timeline of deep, authentic love, your micro-alignment practice might be something as subtle as consciously opening your physical posture, relaxing your shoulders when your old conditioning wants you to shrink, to hide, to armor your heart. It could be the courageous act of reaching out with a simple, kind text message, instead of withdrawing into a shell of self-protection. It might be the vulnerability of speaking a single sentence of genuine affection or appreciation, even if that level of openness feels a little edgy and unfamiliar at first. If you're shifting toward vibrant health, your practice might be to regularly tune into the subtle, often overlooked, sensations of vitality and well-being that are already present somewhere in your body. rather than focusing solely on the pain or discomfort. It could be consciously choosing foods, movements, and periods of rest with an energy of deep respect and love for your body, rather than from a place of punishment or criticism. It might involve gently catching that inner dialogue of self-criticism and consciously, lovingly shifting it to one of support and encouragement. These seemingly small acts, my friends, are the quantum keys. They are powerful, resonant signals that you send out into the field. They unequivocally state, "This is who I am now," not who I'm desperately trying to become someday, but who I have consciously, powerfully decided to be today. But here's the part that most people miss, the part that often causes them to give up too soon. The practice of embodiment, of micro-alignment, is not about achieving perfection. It is, and always will be, about the gentle, compassionate art of returning. You will wobble, you will inevitably fall back into old, familiar loops of thought and emotion. You will absolutely catch yourself thinking, feeling, or acting from the old, unwanted timeline. This does not, for 1 second, mean that you have failed. It simply means that you're human, that you're alive, that you're in the process of rewiring decades of conditioning. The true power isn't found in never slipping or making a mistake. The true power lies in how quickly, how compassionately you come back to your center. Every single time you notice yourself slipping into that old, familiar frequency of fear, of lack, of doubt, and you gently, without self-judgment, guide yourself back to your chosen state of being, you are profoundly strengthening the neural and energetic pathways of the new timeline. Every time you consciously pause, take a breath, and choose a state of coherence over the seductive pull of chaos, you powerfully reinforce the shift. Every time you choose to act, even in some small way, as though the new reality is already true, especially when the external world hasn't caught up yet, you are actively, powerfully collapsing the quantum wave. This is the beautiful, ongoing dance of quantum embodiment. Now, let's briefly talk about tools. For some people, dedicated practices like breathwork, meditation, and focused visualization are invaluable for helping to tune their energetic system. For others, using sacred symbols, resonant numbers like 369 or 777, or listening to specific sound frequencies feels incredibly powerful and aligning. These tools, it's important to understand, are not magic tricks. They are, rather, powerful anchoring devices. They serve as focal points for your intention, helping your subconscious mind receive the new, coherent message that says, "I am now attuned to this new reality." But please, remember this always: no tool, no matter how powerful, works without your own dedicated, embodied participation. You cannot outsource your energetic shift to a ritual or a symbol. The ritual works precisely because you work, because you bring your full, coherent presence to it. So here is your gentle, yet powerful, invitation for today. First, identify just one single pattern from your old timeline that you feel truly ready to disrupt, to interrupt. Then, choose one small, practical act, one micro-alignment that embodies the energy of your desired new timeline. And finally, commit with all your heart to practicing that single act today, just for today, with as much presence, sincerity, and love as you can muster. It might be something as wonderfully simple as pausing for 3 conscious, calming breaths before you react to an email. It might be choosing to speak just one single sentence from the perspective of your desired, empowered self, rather than from your old, fearful self. It might be sitting quietly for 2 minutes and vividly visualizing yourself completely surrounded by the feeling, the frequency of your chosen new reality. It's not so much about what you do, it's about the coherence, the energy, the intention with which you do it. And the beautiful thing is, the quantum field doesn't need time to catch up. It responds to your energy, your alignment, in the ever-present now. As you begin to step into this beautiful, empowering practice, please remember that you are not alone in this journey. You are part of a vast, ever-growing collective of beautiful beings all across this planet who are courageously awakening to their own innate power, rediscovering their magnificent creative nature, and learning how to consciously, joyfully dance with the quantum field. And this channel, this shared space we are creating together, is here to walk alongside you, to support you, to remind you of your own incredible power. Concluding summary and a very strong call to action. So, here we are, at the final, most crucial step of this journey together. We've traveled through the mind-bending signs, the subtle realms of energy, the deep layers of the subconscious, and the practical power of embodied practices. But now comes the part that truly integrates it all, sustaining the shift. Because the quantum field, in its impartial responsiveness, doesn't ultimately care if you just visit your new timeline once or twice. It begins to fundamentally reshape and reorganize itself around you when you choose to live there. When that new frequency becomes your primary, dominant state of being, this is the master key of true, lasting quantum shifting, sustainability. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to feel good all the time or pretending you're high vibe when you're not. It means developing the emotional and energetic capacity to return, again and again, with ever-increasing speed and grace, to a state of alignment. Every time you wobble and consciously come back, you strengthen the new signal. Every time you notice an old, familiar loop pulling at you and you gently, lovingly choose the new timeline instead, you powerfully reinforce the shift. This isn't a punishment for slipping. It is the very definition of mastery. You are learning how to become the powerful, coherent quantum signal that consistently collapses the wave of your choosing, not just occasionally, but as a new, authentic way of life. You are not the same person who pressed play on this video. You are already vibrating differently. You are carrying a new awareness, a new code, a new, vibrant possibility within you. The real magic isn't in just remembering everything we've talked about. The real magic is in what you choose to do next. So here is my final, living, breathing invitation to you in the next 24 hours. Surprise yourself. Do one thing, just one small, tangible thing that truly belongs to the version of you who is already living in your most desired timeline. It doesn't need to be big, It just needs to be real. And when you do it, know this with every fiber of your being, you are no longer just waiting for change. You are being it. If this journey today has stirred something deep within you, if you feel the pulse of a new possibility opening inside, then I wholeheartedly, passionately invite you to join us. Subscribe now, not because you're simply following another channel, but because you are consciously, powerfully stepping into a space, a community where these kinds of profound awakenings are our baseline, where we are all committed to consistently raising our frequency. Together, this is your official invitation to stop being a passive observer of your life and to become its conscious, joyful creator. Click that subscribe button with the full, resonant power of your intention, and be absolutely certain to ring that notification bell, because every new piece of wisdom we share is another tool, another reminder to support you on this magnificent journey, and we wouldn't want you to miss the single step. Your voice, your energy, and your transformation are what fuel this movement. So please, share your commitment in the comments below. Drop a single word that represents the loop you are now ready to break. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's scarcity, maybe it's doubt. Your act of naming it is the first powerful step in dissolving it. Let this space be a testament to our collective shift. Thank you for your precious presence. Thank you for your magnificent energy. And thank you, most of all, for daring to become more of who you truly are. Keep going, keep choosing, keep surprising yourself, because when you do, the quantum field always responds. We can't wait to see you in the next video.